Let me begin by asking you what you can tell us right now. As you know, the details are murky in some areas. We're starting to get more clarity and unfortunately have confirmed that one American has been killed in this operation, others still unaccounted for. What more can you tell us?
Well, there is the rescue effort, or at least trying to reoccupy the gas facility, happened in two stages. So the Algerians went in yesterday late to try to at least push back and flush out the terrorists. And that resulted, we know, in deaths. We're just not very clear. And the reason that's not clear, Erin, it's a long way from Algiers. They aren't really allowing an international presence there. They want to handle this on their own. We know that today they launched a second series of efforts on the facility that did result in freeing of more hostages, and it now has the hostage takers kind of hunkered down. We're just not sure what the numbers have been all over the map.
Yes.
I know the Algerian news agencies released some numbers. I have a feeling we'll find that those aren't accurate either.
Right, and they're saying, 12 total hostages have been killed. As you said, we have no idea whether the numbers are accurate, and they have been all over the maps. It's a fair point, and I want to emphasize it. We know at least one American is among the dead, whatever the dead count may be. I'm curious as to your perception as to whether the U.S. is taking too much of a back seat. Yes, it's a sovereign country. They said they were going to take the lead. They went in without telling the United States, shocking the United States, according to many reports, which described, kind of how U.S. officials felt when the Algerians went in. Yeah. But could the United States have just said, you know what, forget it, we're going in. We don't care what you tell us we can do.
Yeah, could have done it. Not likely. One of the things that you have is Algeria is a police state, and so they have a very tough hold on Algiers, their city in the north, and it gets a little less as you get down south toward the border areas where the Tuareg tribes are. And some of these facilities, and this one included, is in a very remote location in the desert. It's closer to the Libyan border. And so it's not likely that we would have had great capability as quick as the Algerians did to actually get to the facility. I think, Erin, that they made the conclusion, listen, I'm either going to have to negotiate with London, Paris, Washington, D.C., and Tokyo, or we're going to go handle this problem that is growing in perception that emboldens, they believe, the al-Qaeda folks from doing even more of this kind of thing. And I think they decided to take quick action for those reasons and didn't include the other nation states for that reason.
A spokesperson for Mokhtar Belmokhtar, who of course has claimed responsibility for this, has said, originally they said end the war in Mali. That was the terms that they wanted. Now they're saying they'll release an undisclosed number of American hostages in exchange for 2 prisoners that they want. And the State Department spokeswoman Victoria Nuland was asked about this today, whether the United States would negotiate. And here's what she said.
The United States does not negotiate with terrorists.
I'm asking, do you expect Algeria to live up to the same motto?
We do not negotiate with terrorists. We're obviously in consultations with the Algerians.
Congressman Rogers, I'm curious what the U.S. should do. Israel used to say we'll never negotiate with terrorists until they did. And they got the freedom of Gilad Shalit in exchange for 1,027 prisoners. Should the United States negotiate now? There are Americans in Algeria tonight whose lives may hang on that decision.
That's the first thing you learn when you're a new FBI agent is don't negotiate with terrorists. And there's a reason. It puts a price on the head of all the other individuals who are exposed across the region. So I think it's a good policy. It is a hard policy. It's tough. It's hard when you have family members there. And I would be very, very reluctant to give them anything that they want for that very reason. You just make every other Westerner across the Maghreb, Northern Africa, their price on their head just went up. And the part of the problem here is the reason these folks have been successful, Erin, is the way they make money is through ransoms. They do kidnappings and ransoms. And matter of fact, at one time, they were the single largest contributor, al-Qaeda in the Maghreb, to the al-Qaeda core through ransom payments.
Right.
And so because people paid them, it became a cottage industry. And I think that is a dangerous precedent because that whole region is becoming more destabilized. Lots of weapons that left Libya. Why the United States was not quite making a quick decision. By the time they were done deciding if we should or shouldn't work on those weapons caches, the last weapon was out of the arms room on a truck headed toward places like Mali. And so all of these problems are kind of colliding, in which is you see this more brazen attempt in the hostages. I'd be reluctant to negotiate with them.